After my golden brother graduated, my parents sought to cancel my engagement celebration. No, I declined. They're mad at me because all their relatives attended my party instead of his. My younger brother Leon, 26M, graduated college recently. I should include community college. My high school sweetheart Nina, 28F, and I got engaged about the same time. We should have confirmed this after 10 years. We invited guests to our engagement party at our house last Saturday after I proposed 2 weeks earlier. Yesterday night, 5 days after the invites, the party was held, and the drama has been ridiculous. And strange that I can't explain it. After I invited my relatives, parents and brother, they phoned me to cancel. I didn't understand why they asked me to do this, and I declined. They told me they were celebrating my brother's graduation on my engagement party day. They'd send invitations the same night as me. Now they stated one of us had to back off and let the other celebrate their great event. We didn't want 2 events on one day to avoid family issues. Yes, I'm distant from my family, I get, with my relatives, but not Leon or my parents. That's why they didn't know my engagement celebration was on their graduation day. We sometimes talk, as when I congratulated him on graduating and when I engaged. I knew what I wanted to do when they asked me to cancel my engagement party for their wedding, because we only wish each other on birthdays and holidays. No. Not to malign Leon. I value my engagement to Nina, my 10-year-old love, more than his 26th community college graduation. I don't care if I'm undermining him, but I told my parents I wouldn't cancel my event because I've invited them. Not sending invitations allowed them to postpone their event. I supported it, but Leon and my parents didn't. This was expected as my brother is the golden child and deserves praise for everything. When I was 7, I learned my 5th birthday party had already happened. Been modest because my parents assumed I wouldn't remember. They rented a theme party venue for my brother's 5th birthday. Previously it was just my parents, a few acquaintances, and some neighbors. Leon enjoyed another party after graduating middle school, while I got a pat on the back. Same thing when I graduated high school, started college, and graduated college. They liked Leon more than me after middle school. I received few encouraging words. After high school and college, I separated from them. I kept in touch since they paid my college fees. But after I obtained a job, I stopped. I was courteous when I saw them but didn't keep in touch because they didn't expect me to. We changed as needed without objections. I never liked Leon since we always fought or teased one another as kids, and by high school we agreed to stop talking. He differentiates greatly from me. Not great, but different. My parents' upbringing made him pampered, entitled, and bratty. Everyone who knows our family says he's difficult. Despite his high school misbehavior and near expulsion, my parents never appeared to mind. When he told them he didn't want to go to college and wanted to join a company his friends had started with a revolutionary idea, graphic printed t-shirts for teens and kids, they didn't say anything so exciting. After failing and wasting our parents' free investment money, he went to college. His grades were too low and he had many gap years, so he studied business at community college. To celebrate his graduation, my parents urged me to cancel my engagement party. My actions were not cruel anyone in my position would have done. On the phone, my parents made me sound like the worst person for not canceling my party. They said I was usually against my brother, but this was absurd. I tried to reason with them before my engagement party to minimize trouble, but they declined. I got irritated and told them they could have their party on the same day as me, but I wouldn't change anything for them or Leon. I hung up and blocked them. Leon never contacted me about this. They didn't contact me for 4 days after that fight. However, several of my relatives told me they had also received invitations to Leon's graduation celebration on the same day as my engagement party, and were confused. I didn't say anything for 2 days to avoid involving anyone in my family's issue. I honored their choice. My family could attend any event, and I didn't mind. Having fewer attendees at my gathering would frustrate me, but I couldn't make them. 3 days ago, I found my parents were going the other way. My relative reported that my parents told everyone they shouldn't attend my engagement party since I'd been terrible to them and of throwing it on the same day as my brother's graduation party. They stated they had been discussing this idea for weeks, but after talking to me, I surprised people by sending party invites the same day. I played along since they were trying to discredit me. I didn't lie to make them look bad because I told everyone the truth. I informed the party guests that I thought my parents were trying to discredit me with a twisted lie. I told them what we talked about on the phone the other day. I was fine with my parents celebrating Leon no matter what he did as a child, but now it was unreasonable to ask me to postpone my own milestones to appease them and their golden child. My family can believe them over me, but please don't contact me after that. I feared the response to that direct message. Most of my relatives texted me back to say they understood and supported me because of my parents' treatment of me as a child. 2 cousins and several younger uncles and aunts also said they would attend my occasion. Last night's gathering was fun, and Nina and I were glad most had RSVP'd. I was surprised that most invited visitors came. Probably none had a problem. Many told me they thought something was amiss after receiving texts from my parents and didn't think I would do anything as underhanded as they had accused me of. I wouldn't celebrate on my brother's day to steal his spotlight. It felt great to be known. Many people told me they were delighted I didn't give in to my parents' demand, since I was right about being mistreated my whole life. I celebrated my engagement with friends and family and learned that most of my relatives supported me. Parents, brother. My celebration was a success until this morning. Dad and Leon, the last persons I wanted to see, visited me when I woke up. I urged them to leave when they started drinking the doorbell, but my dad said they wanted to talk to me, trying to call cops. Nina suggested I talk to them and resolve things. After letting them in, my parents accused me. I was astonished and confused since I had just woken up, but they were already accusing me of being jealous of Leon, so I did it. They reported few people attended their party, and those who did left after polite small talk to attend mine. They said they knew about my message to our families, and I didn't want to do it, but they lied and badgered me. My remarks were probably ignored because their allegations were so loud. They assumed I was dividing the family because I was jealous of Leon and wanted attention. Later, Nina probably recognized they were rude to talk to. She intervened and threatened police action unless they left quickly. After that they went, but they still insulted me, and Leon beat our house door so violently that the glass rattled for a moment. Though I almost called him to tell him, I let it go. I and Nina were outraged, but an hour after they left, we received a message from an unknown number, possibly a friend or someone they blocked. I was told we were still family, and that they were sorry I held my engagement party on Leon's birthday, which was the only thing I could do. They said he was embarrassed to complete college at 26 and tried to make it nice. His business failed a few years previously, so he had little to celebrate. They were only cheering him up, but I never considered that. They were unhappy and wanted me to act more maturely. They apologized for slandering me but said they had to because they wanted this party to thrive. Since receiving that message, I'm confused. I know this is manipulation, but what if they apologize? Nina's conflicted, therefore we're here. AITA, for planning my engagement party on my brother's graduation? Some of you were disappointed my family didn't aid me when they realized my parents didn't treat my brother and me equally. To their credit, they tried. They constantly helped and were friendly. Some may have tried to persuade my parents that treating me and Leon differently was unfair. My family didn't care. Could they have done more? Our crime wasn't serious enough for jail. It would have been foolish. And I doubt anyone wanted to do that with families and lives. Besides, I was okay. I stopped expecting from my parents. Therefore, I don't mind that they praised my brother and ignored me. As long as everything was paid, I was fine. Most of my family gets along with my parents and brother, which I don't mind. They weren't forced. If they hadn't attended my party, we would have had a problem. But they all did. And Leon and I made it clear at the party that we don't mind if they stay friends with my parents. This is why I maintained in touch with my family, as most of you asked. I suspect depth. No one but my parents, brother, and me. Do not involve them without cause. Some days later, after reading most of my initial post's answers, I felt had no excuses. After notifying my parents and Leon that I no longer wanted to talk to them and would appreciate it if they stopped messaging me, I blacklisted their phone and the number they called from. I heard nothing from them for 3 days. None of my relatives spoke. My mother visited Nina and me before work, making today special. She was alone. Dad and Leon were gone. Less noisy than them, so I allowed her in. Because I believed we could finally discuss like adults without yelling. Once inside, she told me she wanted to talk to us both, so Nina needed to join. She apologized on behalf of all 3 of them as we sat down. If all 3 apologized, I don't count it. Their apology should have been collective. Writing my mother a sorry note. Insufficient. It wasn't mentioned. My mother explained that even though she knew they messed up, she was still upset about one issue from their last visit. She said she respected our 10-year relationship and considered Nina her daughter. She thought they deserved an apology for threatening to call the police on my father the last time they visited because no matter what. Not yet family. Nina yelled at my dad, threatened to call the police, and told him to leave our house, which was impolite, according to my mother. She asked us to apologize for disrespecting them since they were willing to apologize. Because Nina raged at my parents and I quietly watched my fiancé do it. We were speechless. I told my mother I was annoyed by what was being said. Appreciating her standing up to apologize for my family, it was needless. Since it was just my mom, I believed she'd see logic and try to fix it, but they still had a big ego. I told her she had spent 30 minutes with us, and we didn't need a morality lecture. I told her Nina may shout at anyone because they broke into our home uninvited. We opened the door to talk to them and resolve the situation, but they jumped on us and yelled accusations at me like lunatics. Nina was my family, therefore I didn't care. Honestly, more than them. I didn't think we owed them an apology and didn't want one. I said that after my mother finished speaking and we listened. She had to go once we finished. She declared she would not tolerate my actions and refused to stand. It was getting aggravating, so I told my mother I didn't care what she thought since I didn't want to be around my family anymore. I hadn't spoken to them since college, and now after everything that had happened, I didn't want to. I understand if she didn't like it. She didn't have to put up with me since I wanted her gone. My parents and brother too. After a fight, she told me they were leaving since I had made it apparent I didn't want them in my life, would ensure I never spoke to them again. She left when I said I was fine. I hope this interaction will eliminate our work lateness. My family bores me. Next time they visit my house, I'll call the cops. Story over. Post 2-3 weeks have passed since my last post, and Nina and I expected this whole thing to be over. But my parents visited her parents last night. After 10 years together, our families know one another. Nina's parents, who live 2 blocks away, visited at 10 p.m. Talk about our kids' misconduct. Given our disputes, Nina's parents were hesitant what to do, but they let them in to prevent conflict. After talking to Nina's parents, my parents lamented that they didn't know how they'd failed me and were so sorry, unhappy that I came out this way, whereas Leon was the perfect son. He said he was staying with them to escape abandonment in old age. Like that's why. He lives rent-free and doesn't pay expenses because my parents don't charge him. They gushed about Leon and my brief disappointment. Nina's parents recognized they were probably inebriated. They then explained to Nina's parents that they didn't mean to be disrespectful but hadn't expected her to act this way with them. They were astonished since she had always been shy and quiet. But with the ring, she was showing her true colors. They had a plan, though. They gradually made us respect and obey our parents. They had a great idea. Neither they nor Nina's parents would pay for our wedding, so we would have to apologize and improve. I don't see why Nina's parents are included, as we've always gotten along. Because they're normal, yes. In contrast to my insane parents. After my parents left, Nina's parents told us what happened, and I wanted to be mad at them. It seemed unusual, so we laughed. I was lucky she and her parents didn't take issue to my parents' actions, or I would have had to apologize again. However, my perspective and laws are laid back and reassured me. They knew my parents were sick from lengthy acquaintance. They returned without complaint. Rejected them. I'm glad we resolved that effortlessly. After not hearing from Nina's parents, I hope they stop bothering them. For good measure, I'll unblock them and tell them not to bother the family, or I'll sue. Whether I bluff or not, they'll be afraid and may back off. The goal for now is to see if they do anything humorous. Hey, update 3. I haven't spoken to my parents or brother in about a year. Best year of my life. Nina and I married 2 months ago, and my family attended. 2 weeks ago, we returned from a wonderful honeymoon. I'd have to communicate with my parents and Leon, so I'm glad they didn't want me. I love marriage and can't wait to spend my life with her. I'm fine as long as she's here.